ahead, more and more big stars are joining the list of those accusing Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein of sexual harassment or assault.
But would you know what to do if this happened to you? We're going to be talking to the experts about what you need to know if you find yourself in a similar situation.
Why yesterday you touched my wrist?
Oh, please, I'm sorry. Just come on. I'm used to that. Come on.
Are you used to that?
Yes, come in.
No, but I'm not used to that.
I won't do it again. Come on. Sit here.
He's the man behind huge films like Pulp Fiction, Shakespeare in Love, and he was recently fired from the company he co-founded following a long list of sexual harassment accusations published in the New York Times. Big stars like Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelina Jolie, among the women who now admit Harvey Weinstein sexually harassed them. His wife of 10 years, Georgina Chapman, who you see there, has announced that she will leave him to focus on raising their kids. And while he has denied some of those allegations, he did admit that he, quote, sometimes behaved improperly during his career and apologized for causing pain.
So as the scandal amounts and gets larger, so do pressing questions like, why don't people speak out earlier, and how do you handle sexual advances and harassment in the workplace? So joining us this morning is leadership expert and author Patrick Antrim. Good morning. It seems like a lot of people in that situation say, well, I didn't want to lose my job.
Yeah, that's a real problem. I mean, you think about the environment that leads up to these acts. That's really where we're problematic. And so, you know, fear sets in. What's going to happen if I step up and I step out on a situation that oftentimes can be very personal. It's a real problem that we need to face.
Well, these are people who are in tremendous power positions, industry-wide. So it's not just that maybe, okay, I'm going to have to leave this office building and go work across the street. Women who work for these people, Roger Ailes would be another example, fear that they can have their careers absolutely ruined by rebuffing these advances or talking about it.
Right, and so what I recommend is women and all leaders, men and women, you know, the more personal development that we do on ourselves, the more strength that we bring to the situation. In other words, when we start placing value in things like titles, responsibilities, roles in this matter as a young actress or young actor, this is where we get in trouble because we start making decisions that are against the alignment of our own personal values. If you have as you get older in your career and you get more mature in your development, what happens is you become more empowered. And so that type of behavior would not be tolerated. And so people are happening is it's this wide gap of top-level positions in some cases and entry-level positions where there's this wide gap of power. This isn't really an issue of sexual harassment. I think it's an issue of power and a transfer of power. But the bottom line is the cultures that create these is where corporations and organizations can make change.
So somebody at work and they feel like a situation is very inappropriate or getting there, what do you suggest they do?
Well, it's a tough challenge. And, first of all, I look at like a moving vehicle. By the time there's an encounter that gets to the type of information we're seeing in the news today is there's a lot of stop signs that have been ran. And so I think they're just simple body language, and you don't have to always address it. Just, someone makes a comment like, oh, I love the curls in your hair, it's cute. They might be intentionally just giving you a compliment, and it could also lead to something more problematic. So you could just do something like, just body language like, stop. So, you don't have to even address it. And move on to the issue at hand. Move on to the case that you're working on. Move on to the report that you're working on. And get back to business. And that's one of the ways that you can empower yourself. And then what happens is you're encouraging the next interaction to be a professional interaction.
I think it's difficult, especially for young women who are working in any industry. And this also involves, women who are working in development and behind the scenes and trying to make a name for themselves as maybe a producer. They don't want to be the ones who are saying, oh, I'm being harassed, I'm fragile, I can't make it in the workplace. So they're dealing with levels of burdens, right? Not only dealing with this very uncomfortable behavior, but not wanting to seem weak by going to human resources every time somebody looks at them. So, that's a very difficult dance for a young professional.
Yes, and I think women don't need to fight this battle on their own.
Okay.
Look, this is a group problem. And, there's a business case around solving this for business. Workplace productivity is down not only because of these types of situations. And so when you have other leaders, men in the workforce, that observe this is the bystander effect, which says that when other people are present, people don't step in and act because there's just, they assume someone else is going to do it. And that creates a culture of acceptance. And that essentially breeds these types of opportunities. And so women need to mentor and network with other professionals that are aligned with the vision and values that they have individually. and get in groups and get empowered that way.
And have that support
But it's
system
not
throughout the work.
individual. They can't take on this battle all by themselves.
And it's amazing how a few people occasionally will step forward and go, well, look at the way she was dressed. She was wanting that. That is so so inappropriate.
Yeah, that is. It's not, you know, we're in an age today that's not acceptable. We're in transparent organizations that social media, anything you say can be spread faster than you can control. And so it's important that people get rooted in being personally responsible and accountable for their own actions. I mean, there's things that both men and women can do to, you know, elevate their professionalism and how they present themselves. And that's a whole nother topic and a whole nother segment. But there's definitely work to be done here. I mean, you look at smoking back in 30, 40 years ago when it was acceptable to light up at a desk. And today,
Dramatic
if that
shift to
happened,
today.
it would be like, don't do
what are you
that.
doing? Yeah.
That's the kind of change that we need to have in the
Okay, and if
workplace.
you're in a position of power, be helpful and proactive in protecting those who might feel compromised. Thank you so much for that
Yeah,
perspective
we appreciate
this morning.
it. We really do.